What is up, everybody? It is Real Spell Perspective here. Today is Thursday, December 21st, 2023, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 2024 presidential election after I most recently predicted about 6 weeks ago. There have, of course, been things that have changed since then, so I think it is a good time to make my next round of predictions. So, of course, coming into um, today, Joe Biden is disapproved of nationwide by about 17 points, while you look at the favorability of Republican heavy favorite Donald Trump, he is unfavorable by just under 11 points, sitting at 10.7 right now. So, while you could say that Trump is a bit more favorable than Biden, both of them are still unfavorable by double digits, or disapproved by double digits, I should say, for Biden. So, I mean, both candidates, of course, is sort of a lesser of two evils battle between very likely Republican nominee Donald Trump and incumbent Democratic President Joe Biden as they square off for as they get ready for a rematch in 2024. So, as always, we'll start with the safe states. We'll start out with the safe Republican states. Of course, they've got their long-standing Red Sea. Um, Covers a lot of land, but not a whole lot of densely populated areas. Um, but yeah, so I think this is it for safe Republican states. And then, of course, the Democrats have their long-standing blue wall, which has, with the exception of 2016, been big for them throughout the 2000s. Um, of course, they're big in the New England territory. I'm actually considering Maine at large to be likely, but their first district, or not their first district, their second district is actually, of course, a safe Democratic district. Then, of course, you got a lot of the New England territory. You've got Maryland and Delaware, Biden's home state. And I think that's about it for safe states. I'm actually going to consider New York and New Jersey likely Democratic states, which might seem a little controversial right off the bat, but my reasoning there is the threshold for a safe state is 15 points. And you look at the polling between Trump and Biden in New York as of now. I know a lot can change between now and next November. I mean, these last several polls we've seen between Trump and Biden have been firmly within that. 3 out of the 4 of the ones we have seen recently are within single digits. And furthermore, New York, back in 2022, is a state that we widely did see shift pretty dramatically in 2022. Like, Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, didn't even win by 15 points. Joe Pinion, the Republican, did run a pretty good campaign here in New York to make the Senate Majority Leader that won by 43 points with 70% of the vote share in 2016 have that gap closed quite a bit in 2022. And then that governor race was pretty dang close in New York. It was just 6 points, and considering how blue a state New York is supposed to be, that is quite a bit. And even on the House level, of course, the Republicans made a big breakthrough, which will be going away in the next round because of the New York gerrymander that's going to be taking place, the redraw, the Democrats' favor. But I mean, still, the 11 seats the Republicans have to the Democrats' 15, that was huge towards the Republicans ending up getting that narrow House majority. Had New York gone more 19-8 or 21-6 as we had seen recently, there is a pretty good chance that the Democrats would have achieved the House majority narrowly, or at least it would have been a lot closer. So New York is tightening up a bit, and Biden really doesn't seem to be that popular there, so I consider it likely. New Jersey, I mean, there's a controversy with Democrats, Democratic Senator Bob Menendez, and I mean, back even in 2020, I mean, it was only just over 15 for New Jersey, and now with the national move being a lot more even between Trump and Biden, I think it will tighten up a little bit. So overall, yes, they will stay Democratic, but I do see them tightening up. Alright. Colorado, I consider likely Democratic, especially because Trump just got kicked off their Colorado's ballot recently in a big decision. that is getting a lot of attention nationwide, but I mean that's still gonna could get challenged and reversed. But either way, I mean even without it, the Democrats have been super successful here ever since 2008, and I really don't see that changing anytime soon. Neighboring state New Mexico has also been strongly Democratic, even in 2022, all the way back to '08. It has strongly been a Democratic state. And then New Hampshire, Trump really isn't appealing there. You look at the polls in the state of New Hampshire. You got Biden plus 10. Then, I mean, Biden plus 5, even plus 3. Like, Nikki Haley's this is one of the states that Nikki Haley is more appealing in than Donald Trump. And Biden, he is doing just fine here. As far as the polls go, this is a state that Biden does have. Just fine. He won it by 7.5 in 2020, and in 2022, Maggie Hassan won by way more than she was projected to. So I think New Hampshire will firmly go to President Biden. Then, let's see. Any other likely Democratic states? Yes, there, I believe. Well, actually, Illinois is a safe Democratic state. I don't know how I missed that earlier. That is a safe Democratic state. And then Virginia, that is also a likely Democratic state. Tim Kaine, a popular Democrat there. This is a state that the Democrats have been fining on the federal level for quite some time, much like Colorado and New Mexico. Since 2008, they have been just fine there. Tim Kaine and Mark Warner are both popular there. Joe Biden won by a comfortable margin in 2020. I could definitely see Trump closing the gap in this state, but I'm not sure he's going to get within 5 points. This is a state that Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley is more appealing in than Donald Trump. So with Trump being the likely Republican nominee, I think it'll still go to Biden by 7-8 points. So I think that is it for likely Democratic states. A few likely Republican states. Alaska, yes, the Democrats have closed the gap here, but you look at the polls in Alaska, Trump's still doing fine. He's winning by 7-8 points, which is above the 5 points needed for it to be considered a likely state. And of course, 2020, the national move was bad against Trump, and he still did fine there. So it won't quite be a 15-point victory for Trump in Alaska, but he will win it comfortably. Florida has very much shifted in the Republicans and Trump's favor. Like you see in this most recent poll, Trump is outperforming Governor DeSantis by 6 points in this state. The popular Republican governor of Florida is being outperformed by Donald Trump in the state. That tells you something. And I mean, Trump, he's beating Biden by 10. He's doing just fine here. He beats Biden by 7 in another one. He beat him by 5. So across the board, Trump is polling just fine in Florida. And of course, you look back, like when you compare 2016 to 2020, Florida was one of the only states in the nation, in fact, the only state that significantly shifted towards the Republicans in 2020 when the national mood was bad against Trump. Utah's a bit of a different story because Evan McMullen was a popular third-party candidate back in 2016. That was a no factor in 2020. But yeah, so Florida, it clearly has shifted red, and of course, there's the big performance there in 2022 by both Rubio and DeSantis. So it won't quite be a 50-point win for Trump, but he will comfortably win. Then Texas, I think Trump will hold on to by 7 or 8, while the Democrats have closed the gap in this state. Trump is still polling fine here, and again, the national mood won't be as bad against Trump in 2024 as it was in 2020, so Trump should might maybe not do quite as well as he did here in 2016, but better than 2020, which was already a likely threshold. Biden isn't really the most appealing candidate down here to close the gap further in the state on the presidential level. South Carolina, I think, will be just under 15 points for Trump. You look at election history here on the presidential level. You got Trump by 12, Trump by 14, Romney by 10, so it's usually not quite 15. And you look at the polling here. You got Trump by 12 in the state both times the state has been polled, so I mean, it won't quite be 15, but it will be a comfortable victory for Trump. I will also consider neighbor North Carolina a likely Republican state now, seeing how things have gone there. Trump is crushing the polls here just fine by 9 points. You got 9 here, 9 here. Like, Trump is well over 5+5 here in North Carolina, and I mean, no matter how hard the Democrats have tried, they have not been able to break this state. It was close in 2020, but again, that's when the national mood was bad against Trump. You look at the Senate, Ted Budd still won here, Tillis won here, and with how much the polls have grown in Trump's favor, I don't really think the Democrats have a great chance at winning the state at all, but I could totally see this going to Trump by 5, especially with Biden being disapproved of by 17 points. So, 2 more likely Republican states are, of course, Iowa and Ohio. And hold on, I got Maine backwards. I just noticed that. I had it right the first time. Maine's first district is a solid Democratic one. Maine's second district is likely a Republican one. But anyway, back to Iowa and Ohio. Trump is still polling fine here. You saw J.D. Vance, who didn't even run that great of a campaign, but was Trump endorsed, do fine here in the 2022 open race. And, I mean, Trump is still polling well in Iowa in both the primary and general election. So, I do believe that Trump will continue to do just fine in these 2 states. He won them both by 8 or more in 2016 and 2020. He has big appeal to the Rust Belt. He is significantly outperforming Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis in this state. So, won't quite be 15, but Trump should hold on to these 2 states just fine. So, I believe that is it for likely or safe states. We'll now get into the lean states. Oh, and also, DC is also a safe Democratic. Don't have to really explain that one, really. We'll start out with some of the lean Democratic states. Minnesota, I'm moving down from likely to lean Democratic after taking a closer look at the state from last time. Biden, the 4 times the state has been polled, Biden, he's 3 out of the 4 times he's only winning by 2 or 3 here. Emerson College, the really reliable source, has him winning by 2. Of course, in 2020, Biden won it by 7 when the state was, or when the national mood again was bad against Trump, and Trump came close to cracking this in 2016 along with these 3 Rust Belt states, but didn't quite pull it off. Though I do think it will remain in the Democrats' hand, especially with popular Democrat Amy Klobuchar on this ballot as well, and consider that Minnesota has not gone red since 1972, which is the longest streak for any of the 50 states in the country. So, does Biden hold on? Yes. Does he do it by a lot? No. And then, let's see. I'm also going to consider Pennsylvania a lean Democratic state. As, like, the results in Pennsylvania lately have really been pointing, further and further left for the Democrats. If I could find Pennsylvania here, it's like, Trump, really is not polling that great here. There was a recent poll where Trump and Biden were found to be even. But, I mean, you look here, Trump and Biden, it's Biden +1, then you get a Trump +2, a Trump +1. So, as of late, it has been close between the 2. But, it's like, you look at the actual results in these states, and I really don't take the polls that seriously here. Of course, Fetterman won by 5 in 2022 in the wide open race, even after that his well-known health issues and that terrible Senate debate he had, he still won by 5. And then, of course, in the governor level, Shapiro won big time by almost 15. Granted, his Republican opponent was not a very strong candidate at all. But, I mean, and then, of course, in 2023, Dan McCaffrey, the new Supreme Court Justice, got elected to that spot over the Republican to maintain that 5-2 court majority for the Democrats in the state. This is a pro-choice state, and that, of course, the factor of abortion, it really works against the Republicans here. So I do believe that Biden will win Pennsylvania. I made a video a couple days ago about how Georgia and Pennsylvania are Trump's if he could just flip those 2 states and hold his own, he would win. But I believe that Pennsylvania, I really don't see that happening for Trump. Though we look into the lean Republican states, I do believe Georgia can happen for Trump. I will call that a lean Republican state. Last time around, I had it as lean Democratic because of all of Trump's legal trouble in Georgia. I really didn't feel like he was a viable candidate to win, but I've changed my mind. Georgia, where's it at? Like, Trump is polling fine here. He is out polling DeSantis and Haley in the state, despite the fact that they're both from the South in states that neighbor Georgia. Like, Trump, you got him +8 here, +5, +6, +7. And a lot of these polls, Trump is doing just fine against Biden. Even further down, you got him +10, +9. And you look at the results from the state from 2022. Yes, Warnock did win, but you got to remember, Herschel Walker didn't run a very good campaign at all, and he still came within a point of Warnock in the original election. But then on the governor's side, Brian Kemp won it by 7.5 points. See, abortion doesn't seem to be as big of an issue in Georgia. They re-elected Kemp comfortably by 7.5, and he signed an anti-abortion law into effect recently, and along with a lot of the rest of the South. Abortion blocks are throughout the South, and the majority of these states seem to be fine with that. Kemp, while yes, Trump, he originally endorsed him in 2018, which was huge towards the election. Of course, Trump famously turned on him after 2020 when Kemp refused to try and overturn Georgia's election results from that presidential election. And of course, Trump, he endorsed David Perdue in the primary, and Kemp beat him out big. And while Trump did not like Kemp, Kemp did still campaign as a Trump supporter. So, to some capacity, like, there is that connection between Trump and Kemp still. And Kemp, he did win soundly by 7.5 over Stacey Abrams, a viable candidate in Georgia. So I do believe that based on results, there is enough to believe that Trump can win here in 2024. I will also consider Wisconsin a lean Republican state for Trump. You look at the polls here. You got Trump winning by 4, 6. But Biden does, of course, have his share as well. But you do see more red than blue. And looking at the actual election results in this state, Ron Johnson, who was close to Trump, did indeed win. Now, I know Wisconsin, they are big on their abortion rights, which is a big deal in 2024. They, of course, overwhelmingly elected that Supreme Court justice for the state, which was big for the Democrats in Wisconsin. But that being said, Wisconsin seems to be different voting from state level elections to federal elections, because on this same ballot that Ron Johnson, a federal level election, won by 1, you had Tony Evers win by 3.5. So there was a noticeable swing there. And Evers, a big reason he may have been reelected was because the people of Wisconsin, well, at least enough of them, wanted their abortion rights protected. So, Ron Johnson, I mean, yes, in the federal level, he could do something about that, but directly in the state of Wisconsin, there's not a lot Ron Johnson can do about that. Kind of similar to Donald Trump. So I do believe that Donald Trump will win in Wisconsin based on the numbers and results we are seeing. So with that, you have Trump up to 261. He needs either Arizona or Michigan to win. We'll talk about Nevada real quick, and I will call it tilt Democratic. You see, in Nevada, Trump is more or less sweeping the polls here, though he's not doing it by a ton. You've got 3, 4, 5, 3, 3. Then there's 1, 7 down here. But it is within 5 for most of them. Though this is just a state that, no matter how hard the Republicans have tried, they have not been able to pull it off. Biden won it by 2.4 in 2020, as did Hillary Clinton in 2016. Cortez Masto, she significantly outperformed polls to win here in 2022. Adam Laxalt was supposed to win by, like, I think average, he was supposed to win by 3.5 in 2022, and of course Cortez Masto flipped that big time. Then in 2018, Jackie Rosen, who is running for re-election in 2024 and will be on this ballot again, she won by 5, which is the most that any candidate has won on either side of this aisle statewide for a long time. She unseated incumbent Senator Dean Heller, and those two were polling pretty close coming into this election. So I just don't think, even if the polls do slightly favor Trump, the Democrats can always outperform that and manage to win in Nevada. But honestly, like, with the way this map is shaping up, Nevada wasn't really gonna make or break it anyway. So the more interesting states here are Arizona and Michigan, and I will start out with Arizona. Looking at the polls in Arizona, you notice, I mean, Trump is doing fine here. There's one where he wins by as much as 10. Then you have a bunch of Republican-biased polls where Trump is winning by 5 in both of them. And then the non-biased polls, you still got like 3, 4, or 5 for Trump. So he is slightly leading in the polls. That said, I have trouble buying it. In the governor race last year, you had Carrie Lake leading Katie Hobbs in the polls. She was sweeping the polls leading up to Election Day almost. Lake, of course, is close to Trump, and you saw what happens. Hobbs was able to swing these polls and flip that governorship. And then on the Senate level, someone else close to Donald Trump, Blake Masters, the polls were getting tighter around election time, and it was within a point and a half, still favoring Kelly, but Kelly won that by 5 points. So the Democrats are continuing to outperform polls here in Arizona, and with the way the West has been shifting blue as a whole, I do see the Democrats squeaking out a victory here with Biden. So now you got him tied at 261 as there's one state and one district left. Nebraska's second, I'm going to call lean Democratic, because if you look since 2008, this might be kind of a lame way to predict it, but I mean, since 2008, Nebraska's second district has always been to the left of Arizona. It was in 2008, it was in 2012 by a few points, it was in 2016 by a few points, and then it was in 2020 by several points. So, I mean, with Arizona already being blue, I do believe Nebraska's second district will remain blue, but not by quite as much as it did in 2020. But anyway, we're on to the last state, which is the tipping point of this election, which is Michigan. This is the state that I have talked about quite a bit these last few months, as I did make a video about it. Why I think it'll be closer than most think. I do believe that while Michigan usually has been the furthest left of Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, as they've always voted together since 1992, that will change this time around. Looking at the polls between Trump and Biden in Michigan, not the Senate level, the presidential level. Trump, there's one poll where he wins by as many as 8 and then also 10 in another. Trump is significantly outperforming Haley and DeSantis in this state, which is not a surprise given Trump's appeal to the Rust Belt. But, I mean, Biden is not really doing very well against Trump in these polls. He's either narrowly winning or not winning. So there's that argument, and then of course there's the argument that this state typically does go blue federally. Though, I do believe that with Biden's significant disapproval rating and the potential of James Craig on this Republican ballot, that Trump may very narrowly surprise in this state once again. It is going to be very close, and I truly believe that Miss Michigan, along with Arizona, will kind of be the tipping points of 2024's presidential election as of now. But I am narrowly going to predict Trump the winner. Now, of course, this election is 10.5 months out, so a lot can change between now and then. But for now, with how much Biden is disapproved of and how Trump is rising in favorability a little bit, I do believe that overall Trump does have the upper hand in this election. So, I know this is kind of long video, so if you stuck with me this long, great. I really appreciate you. Please like and subscribe for more. If you just skip to the end, I understand that too. You're also please like and subscribe. But everyone, please comment down below what you guys think. Am I onto something? Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments. This is Rust Belt Perspective signing out.